After 40 years in the Senate, Mitch McConnell is finally stepping down, and one man is calling on everyone in Kentucky to put McConnell-ism in the past. Let's chart a new path forward.
It's garbage day in Kentucky, and thanks to Mitch McConnell, things have gotten dirty. The bluegrass state is sick and tired of cleaning up career politicians' messes. I'm Nate Morris, a Trump America First conservative, and I'm here to take out the trash.
Don Jr. called that one of the best campaign ads that he's seen in years. Joining us now is Kentucky Senate candidate Nate Morris. So Nate, thanks so much for joining us. So we look at this state, right? Every time we look at Kentucky, we think of Mitch McConnell, and we are very excited to be moving on. So why is your campaign decidedly so anti-Mitch McConnell and pro-Donald Trump?
Well, thank you for having me. And we've seen Mitch McConnell not represent Kentucky. And I think that's one of the biggest differentiations between myself and my opponents. I've never been in politics before. I'm an outsider. I'm a business person. I'm an entrepreneur. And I felt like that if I didn't get into this race, the two guys that were running, they're nothing but puppets for Mitch McConnell. This is Andy Barr and Daniel Cameron. And I said, we can't let that happen. We've got to have a clean break for Mitch because, as you all know, Mitch McConnell has pushed amnesty on us. He has voted with Joe Biden on gun control. He's continued to get us in these endless wars like the Ukraine. He's voted for things like NAFTA and pushed NAFTA on us. And people like my family, I come from a working class background. I was raised by a single mother. 19 of my family members worked in an auto plant right here in Kentucky. And what I'm so excited about the MAGA movement is that we're focusing on the American worker. We're focusing on the Kentuckians that are fighting every day to live the American dream, like my family did. And I don't think Mitch McConnell's represented that. And I think he's done everything he can to sabotage President Trump. And I think this election is going to be really clear: a vote for Mitch McConnell or a vote for Donald Trump. And my opponents, they've called Mitch McConnell their mentor, and they owe everything to Mitch. And I'm in this race to shake it up, to bring an outside perspective, a non-career politician perspective. And I think that's what America needs. Career politicians have run this country off a cliff, and we all know that. And I think it's time for a change.
Oh, Nate, you're speaking my love language here. This is really interesting stuff. For so long, there's been in the Republican Party, a raft of candidates who are all, sort of the same. And, you announced on Don Jr.'s podcast, and, when Bernie Moreno and Jim Banks both give a thumbs up, I pay attention. But when you look at this race, I mean, the obstacle would be, in former times at least, this is the ultimate insider. This is the ultimate incumbent candidate. This is the guy who held the keys to hundreds of millions of dollars, and divvied it out according to what he needed and wanted to do. He's sort of on his own team. I mean, famously, anyone paying attention knows Donald Trump regrets endorsing him once upon a time deeply. So the obstacle is real, though, right? One would think, because he was sitting on a mountain of cash. Yeah, he's leaving, and now, as you say, his underlings are going to run. So how do you defeat that?
Well, I think it's really clear. We've got a distinct message that's radically different than Mitch McConnell and his cronies and his puppets. And I think the people of Kentucky are ready for a change. They've got Mitch fatigue. You may remember President Trump famously said, we have to rid Kentucky of the stench of Mitch. And there is a very distinct stench that's been here a very, very long time, because he has been the ultimate political boss. I gave a quote to the Associated Press. You may have seen a really terrific article they did over the weekend about Fancy Farm. And I said, Mitch McConnell is one of the nastiest politicians in the history of our country. And we know that's true. Anyone in Washington, ask them, and they'll tell you the same thing. Mitch McConnell plays for keeps. And I'm taking a lot of incoming because of that. Both of my opponents are firing at me every day. They've learned from the best about how to lie and smear. And this is going to be a very hard-fought campaign. We're fighting for every inch, but I believe that we can be a giant killer here. And we're coming from the outside. We don't owe anybody anything. We don't owe the swamp anything. And we can bring a new perspective that's focused on the America First agenda and also talking about things like term limits. You know, Mitch McConnell attacked me over the weekend and he said, don't you want to be like me, the longest serving leader in history? Absolutely not. I don't want to be the longest serving anything in the US Senate. And that's the problem, Mitch. And that's the reason why so many Kentuckians are angry with you and so many Americans are angry with you. This shouldn't be a career. Our founding fathers didn't set up government to be a career for you to get rich, to enrich your cronies, and to thwart the will of the people that sent you to Washington. That's not what this is about. And so I think that message is going to win the day. And we're going to continue to execute every day, run a great campaign, and expose the truth. You know, my opponents said I'm dark and I'm negative and I'm mean. And, you know, sometimes the truth hurts. And these two guys are very, very weak men, both of them that are running, because they're controlled by Mitch. When you're controlled, you're a weak man. And they're very, very weak. And we're going to expose that. And I think the people of Kentucky, it's going to be very obvious to them.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy when you're trying to save a country. When I was getting ready for this interview, Nate, of course I went through and you say you want to end illegal immigration. I thought, okay, yeah, a lot of people say that. But then I saw you say amnesty is treason. And I thought, all right, now we're talking. Now we're on to something, Nate.
Absolutely. You're right. Amnesty is treason. And that's why I've called for a full moratorium on any new immigration coming into our country until we send back the 20 million illegals that Joe Biden let invade our country. We have been in a crisis for generations around our border. And Mitch McConnell talks this big game that he's done all these miraculous things. You know, Mitch could have fixed the border a long time ago. He had so much power at one time. He could have fixed the border. He didn't do that. He instead chose to enrich himself and enrich those around him. And the reason why we haven't fixed the border is we've got these career politicians that have kicked the can on this issue generation after generation. And, you know, someone's got to pay the piper. Someone's dealing with this. We're dealing with this. And, you know, when you've got illegals in your country, you're driving down American wages and you're driving up housing prices. You are taking from the American worker when you let these illegals in our country. And that's why we're full. Every one of them's got to go back. They got to go back where they came from. And we have got to get our country under control. And it starts by having a strong border. And one of the things I share a lot is that it's not just the border that's on the line. This is Western civilization. I mean, I don't have to tell you about what's happened to the United Kingdom. I mean, my friend J.D. Vance famously said that they're going to be an Islamic state with a nuclear weapon in a decade. And the people in the UK have lost their country because of open borders. And America is the last bastion of Western thought and Western civilization. And we cannot lose that by having a porous, open border and not sending all these illegals home.
This is so true. So true, Nate. I guess one thing that you're going to be asked and people are going to look at, your opponents are going to look at, certainly, you know, thankfully you don't have a record in public service. The opposite of Mitch McConnell. You have an entrepreneurial record and a business you built. Tell us a little bit about that and how you know, the lessons you take from that and how that translates into the issues you care about.
Absolutely. Number one, I'm proud that I'm not a career politician. And secondly, I'm proud that I'm not a lawyer. You know, Mitch McConnell and my two opponents are both lawyers. And you all know this. We got plenty of lawyers. We're full up there in Washington. We don't need any more. And I'm proud that I made a living in the waste business. And I'm sure you watch The Sopranos. You know that the waste business is the dirtiest, toughest, nasty business. And I was a disruptor in that industry. I started my business with about $10,000 on a credit card, grew it into one of the largest waste companies in the United States, and took it public on the New York Stock Exchange. And what a lot of people don't know about the waste business is that when you're in the waste business, you're fighting against Bill Gates. You're fighting to get some of the biggest money in the world. Bill Gates is the biggest garbage man in the world. He owns more garbage stocks than anyone. And so this has not been an easy task to break into this industry, to scale this industry. And I want to take those lessons of entrepreneurship and starting from nothing, starting from scratch, and that perspective, because I dealt with the American worker every day. I mean, the folks in the garbage business, they don't get celebrated like they should. They do jobs that nobody else wants to do. And I think that's what's so great about President Trump and the MAGA movement is that we're giving a platform to the people that do the jobs in our country that have got to get done and haven't been talked about and haven't been celebrated. And I'm excited to bring that perspective to the United States Senate.
There's a plenty of garbage to take out in Washington, D.C. That is for sure. Nate, if people want to learn more, where do they need to go?
Yeah, please go to my website, natemorris.com. And I need your help. I am taking on the McConnell machine nationally. Please become part of this campaign. Donate to this campaign. Visit me on X @NateMorris. We want to engage you. We want you to be part of this movement because we are going to take out the trash and rid Kentucky and the United States of the stench of Mitch.